What's up guys, Galaxy King here with my Mayakashi test hand and tech video. In this video I'll be showing you 5 test hands with a Mayakashi deck, and then I will be showing you some tech options that you could consider while playing this deck. And since this is a primarily going first deck, the test hands will be going first. So let's get on with it. Okay. For the first hand we have Pot of a Virus, 1-for-1, Gozuki, Bellydrock and Solitaire. Not bad. Okay then. Firstly, I am going to start with activating 1-for-1, discarding Shiranui Solitaire in order to special summon Hyjun, the Winged Mayakashi. And I'm going to use this effect to special summon Darky, the Graceful Mayakashi. And then I am going to normal summon Gozuki, and I'm going to use its effect in order to send Yukimasun to the graveyard. Then I am going to synchro using Darky and Hyjun to go into the Wheeled Mayakashi. Then Darky's effect in the graveyard will activate, allowing me to special summon it. Then we are going to Synchro Climb to our level 5, bring Darky back, to our level 7, bring Darky back, level 9, bring Darky back, Synchro into our level 11, bring Darky back again. Then we're going to Link into our Link 2. Then we are going to bring Darky back again. Link into our Link 3, bring Darky back once more, and then go into our Link 4, and then we can bring Darky back once again. Now we can trigger Yukimasun's effect in the graveyard. Since we control a Mayakashi monster, we can special summon it from the graveyard, and then we can send a zombie monster from our deck to the graveyard. I am going to send Necroworld Banshee so we can set up Zombie World. Then I'm going to banish the Banshee to activate Zombie World. Now from here there are a few things we could do. We could either use all 3 of these monsters to go into another Link 3, or we can go through our Synchro ladder once again. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Synchro Climb again using... Actually no, I'm not. I'm gonna link all of these away into another Link 3, and then obviously Darky will bring itself back again. And then Gozuki's effect will activate. We are going to banish Shiranui Solitaire in order to special summon Doom King Bellydrock from our hand. Now from here, if we really wanted to, we can activate Pot of a Virus to shuffle 5 monsters back into our extra deck and main deck, and then draw 2 cards, and hopefully get either Rivalry of Warlords or the new Mayakashi trap card. So we're going to activate Pot of a Virus, and we are going to return Gozuki, the Link 2, level 11, level 5, and level 3. And then we will be able to draw 2 cards. We drew into both, amazingly. So then we can set both of them, and this is what our end board looks like. So we have Rivalry of Warlords with Zombie World, so we have the Zombie Rivalry lock. We have the new Mayakashi Floodgate, so we could tribute the Link 3, so the opponent can't special summon anything from the hand, deck or extra deck. And we also have the Link 4, which will trigger when we banish our spare Link 3 from the graveyard to special summon either Yoko or Tengu to destroy either a monster or a spell or trap card. And on top of that, we also have Doom King Bailodrop, which will give us 2 more interruptions. So not a bad board. Probably one of the strongest. Well, I say one of the strongest. Really, when you're playing Mayakashi, there's really only one end board that this deck can make, and it is typically just the Link 4 with one of these combinations, like Rivalry, Zombie World, or the new trap card. So that is the end board that you will see most often. But anyway, let's go on to the second test hand. Okay, now for the second test hand, we will have Mayakashi Return, Ash, Infinite Impermanence, Rivalry, and Zombie World. Okay, not a pretty good hand actually. Okay, so we're going to do the only play that we really have, and that is activate Mayakashi Return. And we are going to add to our hand the Hyjin. Now we are going to normal Hyjin, and we're going to use this effect to special summon Darky from our deck. Now from here we are going to Synchro Climb, going to Synchro into our wheeled Mayakashi, and then we can basically just do the exact same thing, which is Synchro Climb through all of them to eventually end on our Link 4. And then we can activate our Zombie World, set the Rivalry and Imperm, and end there. So while it's not absolutely the best, it's still a pretty strong end board. We have Ash Blossom to stop the opponent from adding anything from their deck to the hand, or sending anything from their deck to the graveyard. We have the Zombie World and Rivalry log. We have Infinite Impermanence. We have 2 interruptions from Yuki Onna by negating the activated effects of the opponent's banished monsters, and when up to twice per turn, whenever a card or effect is activated in the graveyard or a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, you can target 1 monster on the field, its attack and defense becomes 0, and its effects are negated permanently. And we also have Yuki Onna, which we can then banish from the graveyard at any time to summon either Yoko or Tango to destroy either a spell or trap card or a monster. So not a bad end board, and again you will see a similar end board with this deck a lot. But anyway, let's go on to test hand number 3 now. Okay, for test hand number 3, we will have Hyjin, 1-for-1, Uni-Zombie, Mayakashi Return, and Ash Blossom. Okay, this is actually a really good hand. So, what we are going to do first is we are going to summon the Hyjun, and we are going to use its effect in order to special summon Darky from the deck. Then we are going to Synchro Climb once again. I speak a lot about, in my deck profile I spoke about this deck being fairly linear, and this is sort of what I meant. You never really divulge all that much from what this deck is intended to do, which is Synchro Climb and then eventually Link Climb. So there's not a lot of variation in how you go about that or how you get to your end board. So we are going to summon our Link 4, bring Darky back. Then we are going to activate Mayakashi Return in order to add the new trap card from our deck to our hand. We are going to set the trap card, and then we can activate 1-for-1 to send Uni-Zombie from our hand to the graveyard in order to special summon Yuki Masume. Then we can Synchro again into another wheeled Mayakashi and then bring Darky back. And then we can activate Yuki Masume's effect. Since we control our Mayakashi other than itself, we can special summon it from the grave and then send a zombie from our deck to the graveyard. I am going to send an Aquelled Banshee. Then we're going to banish the Banshee and activate Zombie World. You could also send Mizuki and then revive the Uni-Zombie if you wanted, but for now this is what I prefer because, as I said, Uni-Zombie is really only here. In my deck profile I said that Uni-Zombie is really only here as a safety net, and that's really the whole truth of it. So I'm not too concerned about using Uni-Zombie all that much. Anyway, now we can Synchro again. We can Synchro Climb again. Into, let's go stop with at Tengu, and then we can bring it back. So this end board, Zombie World is already good against a lot of decks that rely on their typing, specifically Flounderies, because then they can't summon anything that isn't a zombie. Since they rely on normal summoning and tribute summoning, they can't do any of that under Zombie World. And with the new trap card, it pretty much stops every deck because it stops both players from special summoning monsters from the hand, deck, or extra deck. And even if they do try to summon something from the graveyard, Yuki Onu's effect will activate and it will negate their effects the second they hit the field. And we also have the Link 3 in our graveyard that we can banish at any time to summon Yoko and destroy a monster. And also Ash Blossom to stop any adding. So that was test hand number 3. And again, you will see a similar end board like this about 99% of the time when you're playing this deck. There really isn't a lot of variation between end boards and how you get to your end board. But again, it's still a very easy deck to learn and play with, and it's also very powerful as well. And I believe that every zombie deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Has rogue potential because of the amount of support that they have and how strong a lot of that support is. But also this deck in particular has a lot of rogue and anti-meta potential because of, well, again, of all the support that zombies have access to and a lot of the cards that Mayakashi has access to, namely the Link 4 and the new trap card. I might sound like I'm praising the new trap card a little too much, and I'm sorry if it seems that way, but the new trap card is just amazing. It stops pretty much every deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Apart from Flounderies, but with Zombie World it makes up for that. So that's why I feel like this deck in particular has a lot of anti-meta potential. But anyway, let's go on now to test hand number 4. For test hand number 4, we will have Yukimasun, the Trap card, Ash Blossom, Rivalry, and Mayakashi Return. Okay, and again, another really good hand. Okay, so firstly, we're going to activate the Mayakashi Return in order to add Hyjun to our hand. Then we are going to normal the Hyjun and use this effect to special summon Darky from our deck. Then we can activate Yukimasun's effect in our hand in order to special summon it and send Necrod Banshee to set up Zombie World and the Zombie World lock with Rivalry of Warlords. So we're going to send Necrod Banshee, we're going to banish Banshee and activate Zombie World. Now we are going to Synchro Climb again. You don't always have to go into the skeletal Mayakashi. There are situations where you can just go into Yoko and then into Yuki Onna, the link too. I call them by their links because they all have the exact same name. It's only like the end bit of the name that is different. Because then when it comes back to your turn, if you have Yoko on the field, you can then use it and Darky to go into the skeletal Mayakashi, and then you'll get a massive 3300 beat stick on the field. Now here we are going to synchro once again. We are just going to go into our wheeled Mayakashi, and then we're going to bring Darky back again. Then we can set the Mayakashi trap card and Rivalry of Warlords. So, not a bad hand again. I mean, with the new trap card we can then tribute our wheeled Mayakashi, so the opponent can't special summon monsters from the hand deck or extra deck. We have Zombie World lock, we have Yuki Onna, and we have a spell, trap, or monster destruction from Yoko or Tengu by banishing the link 3 from our graveyard. And then, when it comes back to our turn, if we want, we can then special summon Yukimasun back and then send Glow Up Bloom to the graveyard to then special summon Doom King Balydruk from the deck. So we have a bit more protection, as it's more think of it as insurance basically, because Yukimasun you can use it multiple times without the fear of it being banished by its own effect, because a lot of cards have the effect where if they leave the field because they were special summoned by a certain effect, they get banished. But Yukimasun doesn't have that, so we never have to worry about losing it too much. But anyway, let's go on to the 5th and final test hand, and then after that I will go on to some tech cards that you can play in the main deck. Okay, for the 5th and final test hand, we will have Imperm, Foolish Burial, Mizuki, Rivalry, and Glow Up Bloom. Okay, it's not the best hand, but it's not the absolute worst. So what we can do is activate Foolish Burial to send... I'm going to send for now, I'm just going to send Necroworld Banshee because we have Rivalry of Warlords in our hand, so we can set up the Rivalry and Zombie World lock. Then we're going to banish Banshee to activate Zombie World. And then we are going to set Infinite Permanence and Rivalry. So we have one monster negate from Imperm and the Rivalry lock, which admittedly isn't the best, but even a board like Rivalry and Zombie World with Imperm can still do a fair amount if the opponent doesn't have anything to get over this, because as soon as they summon one monster, you can activate Rivalry, and then if they haven't got anything to get rid of Zombie World or Rivalry, then they won't be able to do much. So anyway, that was it for the test hands, and I'm just gonna do one more because I'm unimpressed with this final end board, honestly. One more. I'm gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna go on to tech cards that you can play. Sorry if you can hear the cats in the background. Literally nothing I can do about that, unfortunately. Okay, that is a lot better actually. So, firstly we are going to normal summon Hygiene, and then we're going to use its effect to special summon Darky from the deck. One thing you have to be aware of with Darky is if you open up with both copies of it, you may have had it, because Hygiene can't special summon Darky from the hand, which is a bit of a pain. But if you can find a way to special summon it, like by sending Gozuki to the graveyard and then banishing a spare zombie from the graveyard, you can go about it like that. And then from here we are going to Synchro Climb once more. Lovely weather, isn't it? Once again, sorry if you can hear the cats in the background. Then we're going to use Yukimasun's effect to special summon it from the hand, and then we are going to send... We can either send... What we can do actually is I'm going to send Gozuki to the grave, and then I'm going to use Gozuki's effect to banish the Link 2, since we never really need it, to special summon Necroworld Banshee. And then we're going to banish Banshee from the field to activate Zombie World. So at least we get another good floodgate alongside the Link 4 and the new trap against decks that are relying on their types, and specifically Flounderies and also Tillaments as well, since they rely heavily on being, well, not too heavily, but their fusions rely on their materials being Aqua Monsters. And since Zombie World is on the field, they won't be treated as Aqua Monsters, so they can't go into most of their fusions. And then we're going to set the new trap card, and then we are going to Synchro into our Wild Mayakashi, bring Darky back, and then end there. Anyway, that is the final test hand. Again, as you'll see, a lot of the end boards with this deck are relatively the same. Well, more or less, they have, well, they're all really they're all the same. I'll be honest with you. Like the Mayakashi deck, it's a fun, really fun deck. And I do see that it has a ton of anti-meta potential, a lot of rogue potential, but a lot of the end boards are really the same. And while there are some variations like what you just saw with just having Rivalry and Zombie World, it's very far in between, is what I'm trying to say. There aren't a lot of variations with the end board, as you've seen with the test hands. But anyway, that is it for the test hands. Now I am going to go on to some tech cards that you can play in the main deck. And now for tech cards, I have Shafu, the Wheeled Mayakashi. This is it's a monster reborn for the deck. On normal or special summon, you can target one Mayakashi monster in your graveyard and then special summon it, but its effects are negated. Now, I personally don't see the appeal of this card. However, it could be useful in clutch. The only problem that I have with it is that while it is a monster reborn for your Mayakashi monsters, it negates the effects of the monster you special summon. Now, the Mayakashi synchro monsters want to be special summoned from the graveyard so they can activate their effects. This, however, doesn't allow that, so it's a bit of a pain to use. However, I do see that it could be useful in certain clutch situations. And you can also summon Darky if you have no other way of summoning Darky, and then synchro into your level 5, and then bring it back, go into your level 7, level 9, level 11, and then eventually link climb into your link 4. So it has some uses, but I personally don't really see the appeal of it. What I do, I see like both sides of why you would want to play this card, and why you may not want to. Especially when we have other ways of special summoning monsters from the graveyard. You have Mizuki, you have the Link 3, which is a quick effect Mizuki for all your Mayakashi synchro monsters. And they're easier to get into the graveyard and then use them there whenever you need to. This, while it is searchable with Mayakashi Return, I personally prefer just using the Link 3 and also Mizuki. But it's still a card that you may want to consider from time to time if need be, if you feel like you need one more card to help with your summoning monsters from the graveyard, or for a bit of recovery, or again in clutch, and you need something that something that Mizuki can't do, then you could go for Shafu. Then for the next card, I have Algol Mazera. This is an interesting card, and I personally prefer this more than Shafu. Its effect is, if a zombie monster or monsters would be destroyed by battle or card effects, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard instead. Then, if this card was banished, you can special summon it and decrease its level by 1. So it's easy to get into the graveyard. If you imagine this as, in our test hands, whenever I sent Necrod Banshee to the graveyard by using Yukimasun, you could replace Necrod Banshee with Algol Mazera. And then instead of setting up Zombie World, you have Destruction Protection with Algol Mazera and a free body as well. However, I don't see what else you do with Algol after that, but there are situations where it can be really useful just to have that destruction protection against anything. And as you saw in our test hands, it's very easy to get into the graveyard. And then next we have Soul Absorbing Bone Tower. If you are familiar with Mayakashi, then you may know why this is here. This is part of a combo, an FTK combo, where you can set this up and use it to mill out the opponent, because whenever a zombie monster is special summoned, Soul Absorbing Bone Tower will send the top 2 cards of the opponent's deck to the graveyard. So with the amount of synchro monsters that we have, and Darky bringing itself back multiple times, you can effectively mill your opponent out completely, which is basically how the FTK combo works. However, I personally have found better results playing Soul Absorbing Bone Tower in Mayakashi Eldritch, since it's a 3.5 card combo. You need 3 cards, which are Hyjun, Elixir of Black Awakening and either Yukimasun or Mayakashi Return. And then any spell or trap card to send to the graveyard to special summon Eldritch the Golden Lord from the graveyard. Well, I say special summon from the graveyard. You destroy a spell or trap card on the field, add it back to your hand, and then you special summon a zombie. But that will typically be Eldritch the Golden Lord. If you want to see a Mayakashi Eldritch deck profile, let me know, and I'll happily put one together. But Soul Absorbing Bone Tower just has more success in Mayakashi Eldritch because it's a 3.5 card combo. But it's still a very interesting card if you want to play it in Mayakashi, just to be mean. Because we already have a bunch of mean cards in the deck with the new trap card, Rivalry, Zombie World. So if you wanted to try this out, go for it. Then we have Mayakashi Winter. This is another interesting card. If it says it's a first, okay, so it has a few effects. The first effect is your opponent's monsters lose 100 attack and defense for each Mayakashi monster with a different name in your graveyard. So at the bare minimum, they'll be losing maybe 800 attack points because you'll have 5 of the Mayakashi Synchros in the graveyard. You'll have Darky and Hyjun, so that's 700, and then maybe the Link 2 in your graveyard, which will be 800. But if you will have, well, technically it will be 900 to begin with, because you'll also have your Link 3 in the graveyard as well. But you'll eventually banish that and then special summon a Mayakashi Synchro from the graveyard. So it's between 700 and 900, and maybe 1000 if you have Yukimasun in your graveyard as well. And it also has 2 other effects where once per turn, and you can only activate either one of these effects, and you can't activate the other effect in the same turn. You can send this card and one Mayakashi monster you control to the graveyard to then draw a card. Its second effect is you can banish this card and one zombie monster from your graveyard. Then target one Mayakashi monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So it's good for Monster Reborn. It's got a good Monster Reborn effect, and it's good for drawing a card if you really need it. And it's good for lowering the opponent's attack points so you can do more damage to the opponent. And for the last card, I have Mayakashi Mayhem. This card has 3 interesting effects. And those effects are, the main effect, the effect that triggers them is if a zombie synchro monster is special summoned except from the extra deck, you can apply one of these effects, but you cannot apply the same effect twice per turn. You can either draw a card, set one Mayakashi spell or trap card directly from your deck except itself, send one monster your opponent with the lowest attack your opponent controls to the graveyard, choice if tied, and then or inflict 800 damage to your opponent. It's a very useful card, and it can really help speed the deck up a lot by getting you access to Mayakashi Return or the new trap card. The burn damage is good as well if you're in time. The draw effect is also good, so if you're running low on cards and you need to see a specific card, that gives you the opportunity to draw into that card. And also the effect to send a monster on the field to the graveyard is also really good. And it says send to the graveyard, so if it has destruction, protection, or can't be targeted by card effects, this just gets over it. And it's also searchable with Mayakashi Return. And that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you thought in the comments. Tell me what you think I could improve. And if you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, I'll talk to you all in the next video. Take care.